video is designed to summarize the information that I found in developing the Ray family tree on Ancestry.com. I started working on the tree a few years back, but was recently aided greatly by my Ancestry membership, which was a birthday present last October. I took on this task out of a curiosity about my heritage and a desire to know more about my ancestors. In this project, I made every effort to support my findings with true historical documents, such as birth certificates and death certificates, marriage certificates, U.S. Census data, and the information from a number of family trees posted on the Ancestry database. I'm certain that it's fairly accurate, but I did find that a few dates and events tended to slide a few years here and there, depending on whose research you were looking at. Still, it does tell an interesting story. Let's begin by taking a trip to England in the year 1700. The story begins in the town of Suffolk, England in the 16th century with the Ray family. At that time, the name was spelled R-H-E-A, but later changed to R-A-Y as we know it today. The Ray family descended from the Campbell clan of Scotland. The Campbells were of Norman and Celtic descent and were allied with King Charles II. History of the Campbell clan goes back well beyond the 1300s in Scotland. The first member of the Ray family tree that I was able to find information about is a gentleman named Robert Ray. Robert was born in 1657 and died in 1720. His mother was Agnes Naismith Brown. I found very few citations related to Robert's life outside his birth date, his date of death, and the town where he lived, Suffolk, England, which at the time was a small fishing village on the western side of the country. My story ends with the birth of Everett James Keller in 2021. This ancestry spans more than 300 years, which saw the immigration of Robert's relatives to America, the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the moon landing, and much, much more. As I shared, I didn't find very much information about Robert Ray. Originally, his last name was spelled R-H-E-A. At some point later in history, the spelling was changed to the current spelling R-A-Y. I did, however, find interesting data about Robert's ancestry. Robert and his wife, Jane Norwich, had a son by the name of John Ray, who was born in 1702 and became a major general. It is reported that John served with distinction, major in the 5th Virginia Regiment of the Continental Army, and took part in the battles of Kings Mountain and Brandywine. John and his wife, Hannah Knightley Hasty, had one son, Captain James Ralston Ray, who was born in 1750. His father died in 1800 at the age of 98. Captain James Ralston Ray married Jane Janet Allison in 1769, and they had a son, George Ralston Ray. George married Elizabeth Dykes in 1812. Elizabeth was an indentured servant at the time and worked for a family 2 years before George bought out the rest of her contract. Elizabeth has a cemetery named in Tennessee after her in her honor. Here's a picture of her gravestone. George was born in 1792 and had a son named James R. Ray, who was born in 1819. George is significant as he appears to be the first Ray to use the spelling R-A-Y and was the first born in America, in Chatham County, North Carolina, near where I was born. George died in 1883 at age 91 and was buried in North Carolina. Here's a picture of his gravestone. James Ray, born in 1819. He had 5 children with his wife Cassandra Mudd Graves. James married Cassandra in 1883 in her hometown in Tennessee. They had 5 children in 11 years, one of whom was Wade Hampton Ray, born in Tennessee. When Wade was born, his father James was 30, and his mother Cassandra was 28. Wade married Caroline Murray in 1881. They had 8 children in 17 years. He died on July 22, 1912, in Jackson, Tennessee, at the age of 63. Wade's father, James, died in 1910 at 90. Wade Hampton Ray and his wife, Caroline, had one son named George, who was married to Emily Campbell Ray. Here's a picture of his gravestone. George and Emily had a son named Joseph Malthus Ray, who was born December 18, 1879. Here's a picture of his 1920 census record. Joseph married Sarah F. Bryant, who died in 1963. They had a son, Audie Amick Ray, who I remember my mother talking about. Audie Amick Ray was born on September 17, 1905, in Chatham, North Carolina. His father, Joseph, was 25 at the time, and his mother, Sarah, was 24. Joseph died in October 1944 in Siler City. Here's a picture of his gravestone. Audie married Blanche Duthay Johnson on March 31, 1922. They had 3 children during their marriage. Their son, William Winfred Ray, was my father. He was born on October 4th, 1924, and died September 11th, 1970. William served in the Army in World War II. I only have a couple of memories of my father, as my parents were divorced and I was very young. He died in 1970 while I was attending the University of Redlands. Here's a picture of his gravestone in North Carolina. My parents had 4 children: Rebecca Ann, William Carr, Norman Gerald, and Susan Gail Ray. Rebecca, or Becky, is deceased. William is a retired lawyer and lives in South Carolina. Susan has 3 children and lives in Riverside County, California. I was born on October 7, 1949 in Greensboro, North Carolina. My family moved to Pomona, California in 1963. I attended Gary High School in Pomona and later graduated from the University of Redlands in 1972. I married my wife of 42 years, Ovida, in December 1979 and had 3 children. Evan, born in 1981, Marissa in 1986, and Tyler in 1987. Evan has 2 boys and works for the United States Department of Homeland Security. He graduated from the University of California in Santa Barbara. Marissa has 2 children and is a full-time mom. She graduated from California State University at Fullerton. Tyler is single at the time and works at Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Air Station in the physical therapy department. He graduated from my alma mater, the University of Redlands. Our 4 grandchildren include Zach, Andy, Autumn, and Everett. Everett is the youngest person listed in this genealogical research project. He was born October 7, 2021. We share the same birthday. So that's our story. It's a long journey from the highlands of northern Scotland to suburban Lake Forest, California in South Orange County. Who knows what comes next or what the future may bring? Whatever it is, I know it will be filled with wonderful experiences of the entire family.